Sometimes they'll have animals that have like an attitude, or they're like this. They'd be mad, or they'll jump for joy, or be silly or playful.
Do you have any pets? Maybe a dog, maybe a cat, maybe different kinds. Have you ever looked at them and wished you could communicate with them or wanted to know what your pet was thinking? We actually have an animal communicator here named Jaclyn Tyrcha. Some of my friends use her services and all have said positive things. Wow. They felt more connected with their pets. I'll explain what Mav says and so on. Her approach was incredibly professional, soft, it was detailed, and really informative. Wow. It helped me see many things, and some definitely connecting to Mav and me.
When we video phoned together, I asked her many questions, and nothing beats her. My pet and I can really interact. It's amazing and cool.
I'm really fascinated with that concept. I want to take an opportunity to chat with her and ask her questions about everything I want to know. I'll admit, when I heard Animal Communicator, I was like, what? At first, I envisioned something like a medium, but a medium typically means connecting with dead people, right?
Well,
kind of.
Yeah.
So this is with animals.
Yes.
So, okay. I'm curious, can you explain to me what the process looks like?
Sure. Animals themselves have words they need to express, but us humans don't have the ability or have the access, so I help facilitate.
Facilitate?
Yeah, so what I do is a person will contact me wanting to talk to their animal. They tend to send me a picture because looking at a picture can help me connect with them on their spirit level, connect with the animal on their spirit level. I do this by showing them the picture of themselves and I ask, is that you? And I point to the picture, that's all.
That's it?
That's all. I would see if they feel that they match the picture and they'd be like, yeah, that's me. That's who I am as a person on Earth. That's who I am and what I look like. I would be like, okay, and connect with them and interact with them. Really, sometimes people will give me questions they want me to ask, like, how are you feeling? Where do you come from? What do you want? What do you like or not like? So we just talk.
Every question the owners ask, is there a guaranteed answer, or is it only animals that want to answer?
It's really up to the animal. It's up to the animal. When the conversation is finished, I'll call them on video phone and type in my notes, and I'll talk with them and I'll explain everything.
To let them know?
Yeah. I believe...
How did you find this ability?
Oh, well, when I was a young girl, I would connect with dogs and cats in my neighborhood. I would call the cats and they would all come to me, even though they weren't mine. Once I brought home a lost dog and my mother was confused and said, "What are you doing?" I would just keep bringing home these animals. I couldn't understand at that time. I was young and the animals were just attracted to me.
Like an animal magnet?
Yeah, I didn't understand. During my journey, I realized my abilities. I was like, oh, I was able to communicate and connect with many different animals. I would practice on dogs, cats, horses, and a variety of animals, snakes, birds, any animal. I practiced and trusted that process.
I'm curious, was there a moment where you realized, oh, I actually can communicate with animals? And what was that moment like?
I learned how to stay as a third party, where I pass on the information and not have them become attached to me.
So you're leaving yourself out of the communication pathway?
Yeah, pathway is a good way of describing it. Really, it's the same for interpreters, passing on the information. It should be interpreted back and forth.
So what's been your most significant experience with animal communication? I'm sure there are some situations where it's touching for you, and I'm sure there are some tough situations too.
One night I had 3 animals at the same time.
All 3 had died?
They had all died. The first one, they woke me up and I hadn't put on my spiritual disguise to proof myself, which I usually do before bed. But that night, I left it open, my channel. I left it open by accident. So when they woke me up, they told me I'm transitioning up there. And I was like, oh, so I helped. Then another one transitioned up there, and the third one was sick and was going to die soon. That night was hard, and I reached out to my teacher friend and I asked, what should I do? I was overwhelmed, and they told me to keep myself disguised to protect myself. I had to separate. I would let them know that their animals are fine, they're safe, and they describe where they went. They would come down to visit or say hi, goodbye, thank you, I love you, or whatever message they may have. I noticed that humans would feel comfortable.
Like it gives them closure.
Closure, peace, really.
Oh, peace. You mentioned you can communicate with cats, dogs, horses, any others?
Snakes.
Snakes? I'm curious, are there different modes of communication with different animals, or really is it the same principle of communication?
It's the same. It's on a spiritual level. I don't see their bodies. I just connect with them on a spiritual level. I don't become a body anymore. They don't have bodies. Now we live on a 3D Earth, meaning we have physical bodies, but it's different up there. It's a different dimension. They don't belong to me. I would get permission from the owner, whoever owns the animals. I would get their permission first. The owner would let their animal know I could talk to them, and the owner would give the permission, and then we would connect.
Do you have any touching or favorite moments, maybe funny moments while connecting or communicating with animals?
Yeah, sometimes the animals would talk about having a favorite blanket or favorite toy. Then they would tell me exactly where they prefer to lie down, and I'd let the owner know. The person would be confused, so they'd move the blanket, and the animals would be like, yes, that's it. They'd be so happy to be near the window or having their toys. They'd say, thank you for walking me outside, and they'd have longer walks or more treats. Many animals want more treats.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sometimes they have animals that have like an attitude, or they're like this. They'd be mad, or they'll jump for joy, or be silly and playful. It really varies. Many different animals with really fun personalities. I would observe them and write things down to let owners know. The owners would be floored, like, yes, that's so true.
It makes that connection stronger. I have dogs, and I often wonder what they're thinking. To be able to get into their minds to understand them, I imagine it's a whole new level of closeness between owners and their animals.
Oh, yes.
They can connect and understand each other better.
Yeah, an animal can even tell their owners they're done with medicine. They're done with it. They don't want shots or pills. They're done. Like, fine, but I'm not a vet. You two need to make that decision together with your vet.
It's a very deep level of connection. I can understand why you feel the need to separate your feelings for your own self-care. So, what are some other self-care things you do to take care of yourself?
I meditate to keep that communication open with the spirits in the world. I have a spirit guide that I work with, and I attend workshops. I read to connect, and I learn more about that. Plus, I really like going to the dog park.
Oh, can you imagine your heart melting while watching the dogs?
So much fun. There's no connection there, but to just see them play and observe the owners and their actions with their dogs. It's fun and I enjoy it. I go to the cat cafe. I have friends with horses, so if I need a horse fix, I go over there to help brush them.
I know the bond between owners and their animals is one of the most beautiful things in life.
Absolutely.
I know many of those who are watching, I'm sure many of them are thinking of reaching out to you. How can they?
Oh, they totally can.
Now I've been thinking wow, it touched my heart. I was fascinated with her ability to connect with animals by getting information from them on the same spiritual level. Admittedly, before I wasn't sure, but now I watched her talk and I'm just like, wow, yeah. I have 2 dogs and one of them is a rescue dog. I've always been curious about where he came from. Maybe I can use Jaclyn with my 2 dogs and I can get to communicate with them. So what do you think? Do you want to find out more about your animals?